Laws of static friction. The maximum value of static frictional force between two given surfaces is independent of the surface area of contact over large areas. So the first law states, suppose a block is kept here. This is the surface area of the block in contact with this table. Now if we increase the surface area of this block, so if we increase the surface area of the same block, then also the maximum value of a static frictional force will remain same. Now second law, the maximum value of a static frictional force is proportional to normal reaction. So the maximum value of a static frictional force is proportional to normal reaction. Means suppose a block is kept on this table. Now the weight of the block acts on along vertically downward direction. The reaction acts along upward direction. Now suppose we are applying force on this block by putting mass on this hanger, which is connected through a string through this pulley. Now suppose now in order to this frictional force will act along this direction, Fs. So when the weight of the block, see, we can find out, suppose this is the mass put on the hanger, so the total force along horizontal direction will be mg. So we find that weight is equal to the normal reaction and mg equal to Fs, the maximum value of static frictional force. Means when we put the mass m, then the block comes in such a state that it is about to move, it tends to move. It means that the reactionary force, that is the opposition force, frictional force, has reached to its maximum value. Now let us put weight on the block, additional weight on the block. Here the total weight is something else, W dash. The reaction also changes to R dash. Now the same weight which was earlier placed on that hanger, that is mm, will not be sufficient to bring the block in such a position to move. So we have to put some additional weight. See, suppose this is m0, then only the block comes to this. So the frictional force also changes. So here we find that W dash weight is reaction, and m plus m0, this is m0 is the additional weight put on the hanger, is equal to Fs dash. From the experimental result we find that W by W dash equal to mg by m plus m0 into g. The ratio is same. It means that W by W dash means R by R dash equal to, R is this, so mg is Fs by Fs dash. So if we find that the maximum value of static frictional force is proportional to normal reaction. This is the second law of friction. The maximum value of static frictional force depends on the surface of contact. Suppose this is the table given. Now if we take a block of very smooth surface, this is the surface area, surface in contact with the table is very smooth, then the frictional force will be less. But if we run the same block, or if we change the block and take a rough surface of the block, then the frictional force also changes. So whether how these two surfaces which are in contact, on the nature of their surfaces, this frictional force will depends. For a smooth surface, less frictional force will act, the maximum value of static frictional force will be less. For rough surface, the maximum value of static friction will be more.